Breaking news. Hungary's Orban calls for surge of illiberal Christian democracies in fresh threat to EU. Eurosceptic Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban took a swipe at Western political establishment and said next year's European Parliament election could bring to power illiberal Christian democracy, ending decades of multiculturalism. The archenemy of Brussels issued a stark warning to visibly nervous liberal parties ahead of the May 2019 election, saying the consultations will be decisive for the future of Europe. In an annual speech to ethnic Hungarians in Bajtosznad, in neighboring Romania, the Prime Minister of Hungary said Western political elite of the EU had failed to protect the bloc from Muslim immigration and it was time for them to go. He said, "The European elite is visibly nervous. Their big goal to transform Europe, to ship it into a post-Christian era, and into an era when nations disappear, this process could be undermined in the European elections. And it is our elementary interest to stop this transformation." In his speech, Mr. Orban said the May 2019 elections could help emerge an alternative to liberal democracy, which he called illiberal Christian democracy. He added, "Christian democracy is not liberal. It is illiberal, if you like. Unlike liberal democracy," he said, "Christian democracy rejects multiculturalism and immigration while being anti-communist and standing for Christian values." Referring to liberal and left-wing politicians that upended the ruling conservative order in many countries in the 1960s, he continued, "We are facing a big moment. We are saying goodbye not simply to liberal democracy, but to the 1968 elite." Mr. Orban, who was re-elected for the third consecutive time Prime Minister on April 8, has spearheaded a crusade against the European immigration rules that wants each EU member to accept a quota of asylum seekers and migrants, arguing the European Commission is eroding the democratic institutions of national states. On Friday, the right-wing nationalist leader of Fidesz stepped up his game against the EU, welcoming the founding of the anti-EU movement group wanted by Stephen Bannon, the former aide to U.S. President Donald Trump. Mr. Bannon has announced on Thursday his intention of creating a project able to coordinate and boost anti-EU and nationalists groups across the European Union in the run-up to the European elections.